Okay, class, what is this? What is this? This is a Bible. What version of the Bible is this, class? It is the King James Version. The one that you've probably seen in your childhood at churches, in a hotel room, nightstands, everywhere around the world. The one that your nana passed down to your mom and your mom passed down to you. But what if I told you that King James the Sixth, the author, the rewriter of the Holy Bible, was a homosexual, demonologist, and had a plethora of other sins underneath his belt? I'm finna piss y'all off. Welcome back, YouTube. And for those who do not know me, hello, my name is Noah. I'm your neighborhood spiritualist that likes to piss people off for no apparent reason. And I talk about death, true crimes, haunted people, places, and things, spiritual reparations, and how you can fuck around and find out. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, bestie. Make sure the notification bell is on. And if you are not following me over on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, follow me there too. The tea is pouring differently on every platform. On today's episode, we will be discussing the rewriter of the most popular version of the Holy Bible, King James. Now, I'm not going to lie, some of the things that I learned about King James while doing this video truly surprised me. He is not a person that I or you would have chosen to rewrite the Bible. But back then, of course, everything was rooted in politics. Hell, even today's modern day Christian church, Catholic church, is just the Roman Empire reincarnated. It's cosplaying as Christianity and Catholicism, but that's besides the point. This man was absolutely diabolical. This man, I can't even explain, and some of the videos will feel like it's repeating information, but you learn something about King James that you didn't know from the previous video. So just be patient in the different storytelling and research that these people have put in to find out who the real King James was. Should be studied. It's chef's kiss. So we will be watching some viral TikToks regarding this subject. And as always, I will be linking the creators down below. Make sure you give them a follow. But before we get into today's video, I want to take a second to talk about something that really helped me understand the themes I'm talking about on a deeper soul level. This video is sponsored by Psychic Source, and if you've ever felt like you needed clarity around your life, your purpose, or even at the crossroads you're standing at, this is the place to go. Psychic Source has been around for over 35 years. They're literally the oldest, most trusted psychic service out there. And it makes sense because the space feels safe, supportive, and judgment-free. And the best part is that you can connect with a psychic in whatever way feels best for you, whether it's phone, video, or even text. And plus, not everybody could just work for these people, y'all. Only about 2% of the applicants make it through their vetting process, so the advisors are legit. They even back everything with a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and 1% of every purchase goes to a charity that you choose at no extra cost. So let me tell you about my experience, because this is why I'm actually excited about the partnership. I absolutely love my advisor. Something about her energy, her profile, and the way she describes her reading style just resonated with me. I asked her specifically about my career and finances because you know me, I'm always planning, always building, and leveling up in what we're doing in our community. And child, listen, she was spot on. She picked up on things I didn't even say out loud, y'all. She talked about exactly where my career is expanding, what opportunities I need to lean into, and even confirmed some things that I had already been feeling in my spirit. I don't let people read me often, but it was one of those readings where you're sitting there and you're like, okay, so she cannot be guessing. You really tapped in. It honestly shifted my perspective on a couple of decisions I've been trying to make, and I left the reading feeling clearer and more grounded. And the platform itself is super easy to use. You can browse, filter, and look through different advisors until you find someone whose energy matches yours, which I love. If you want to try it for yourself, click the link in my description or go to trypsychicsource.com/Carl cauldron to connect with a psychic advisor right now. And because I love you guys so much, new customers can get up to 40 minutes for under $20. Yes, you heard it right. A psychic reading for under $20. And you do not have to use all of it at once. You can explore different advisors and find your go-to person whenever life feels uncertain. Baby, what are you waiting for? Run, do not walk. Click the link down in the description. It is Noah the Black Cauldron approved. And y'all know I'm very sensitive about my energy and I don't play about it. But sister was spot on. Make sure y'all get y'all reading. This first creator goes underneath the handle of Blake Green, and he is touching on the subject of demonology and King James.
King James was a demonologist and an occultist. Yes, the same King James who authorized the translation of the Bible that we know as the King James Version wrote a book in 1597 called Demonology. It was a guide on demons, spirits, witchcraft, and how to identify, interrogate, and punish witches. James wasn't just an armchair theorist. He was obsessed with witchcraft. He personally oversaw witch trials in Scotland, including the infamous North Berwick witch trials, where he believed witches were summoning storms to try to kill him. People were tortured, interrogated, and executed because James was convinced witchcraft was a political threat. King James is one of the main reasons we have the modern concept of witches making pacts with the devil. He personally helped define a stereotype of witches as devil worshippers, something that wasn't a universal belief before his influence. His obsession even shaped literature. Shakespeare wrote the witches in Macbeth during James's reign, drawing directly from James's fears and from demonology itself. Those eerie prophetic witches, that is King James' influence in modern culture. So when you hear people today describing witches as evil, demonic, or devil worshippers, they are echoing ideas that come directly from one king's personal fears, not from ancient traditions. And this is an important reminder that sometimes the beliefs that we take for granted weren't handed down by history. They were shaped by the fears of powerful men.
Everything that has been told to us in history has been a lie or has had underlying motives. So why wouldn't this be right on brand? This next clip belongs to an account called Forbidden Clips, and it is of an elder speaking about his mother and her perception of King James and his perception as well.
My mother didn't know that King James was King of England. She just thought God sent him here to write this. She didn't know King James was such a weird, strange homosexual. He hated women so bad he killed his mother, and his lover was Buckingham Palace. Who Buckingham? His name was his lover was Lord Buckingham, who Buckingham Palace is named after. Oh, come on, y'all. So where do you go? Where do it go? You know. And so one.
And this is why I be saying some of my Christian brothers and sisters is a little illiterate when it comes to their Bibles and the history behind it, because this should have been known. I mean, it literally says King James. It wasn't a secret that this was a rewritten version. I need us to wake up. 400 years has gone by. We need to come out of our trance. Our spell has been broken. Now it's time for us to put the mental work in. This next creator goes by Candace, but it is a video, what looks like it may be filmed in the early 2000s, late 90s, of a man talking about the King James Bible, King James, and a certain family that we still talk about today who was all behind this.
King James Version was the first English version of the Bible, first version translated into English. Why? As a matter of fact, way before the King James, the Geneva Bible was out. King James banned the Geneva Bible. And you say, wait a minute, if the Geneva Bible is such a good book, why was it banned? Well, let me tell you why it was banned. First of all, in any of the stuff that I've got, I'm more than willing to let you take a look at. This is a little pamphlet of the instructions to the translators. And if you see this, you understand real quick what's going on. You start to understand some of the things that are going on with it. And part of the thing is, let me just give you one quote out of the Geneva of 1591. Ephesians 6, 11, 12. See if you can figure out anything that might cause a king not to want to have this out. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may abide to stand against the assaults of the devil. For we wrestle not only against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. Sounds pretty familiar so far, right? And against worldly governors who are the princes of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness which are in the high places. Now that basically says the governments are all evil. Can you understand why they would want to get rid of something like that? Well, they in fact did. And as a matter of fact, if you read the instructions, you find out that they left out a lot of things. The true meaning of baptism, the true meaning of what the church is. And the reason why they did it is they wanted to be able to control the people. They wanted to say that the government is divinely empowered and that the church, you got to listen to, and of course, he controlled the church. 1910 talks about some of the real purposes of the King James Version, and it's not what you were taught in school or not what you were taught most other places. So for those reasons, the King James Bible, and of course the following editions, there's a book called, by the way, New Age Bible Versions, and it's by Gail Ripliger. And it talks about 65,000 plus changes in the King James versions to some of the New Age versions. There's 20,000 changes from the Geneva to the King James. So you kind of get the idea that they're trying to change everything around so it means something totally different than what it originally meant. Let's talk about the pre-Revolutionary War. The Rothschilds. Their goal was to control the world through controlling money. Very simple philosophy. I don't care who the government is, let me control the money and I will control the country. And they did exactly just that. Their plan was to finance both sides of the wars. They did that. They took over the Bank of England by financing the Napoleonic Wars and deciding who was going to win. They financed both sides of the war between the states. They financed both sides of most wars.
It always ties back into a good conspiracy theory. But see, they're not conspiracies. This is written in history. All of this was a political play. We literally, and when I say we, I mean them, y'all, everybody else, but us that woke up 10 plus years ago, followed a Bible that was written by an illiterate man, for real, for real. He had the education of a third grader. This next creator goes under Joshua Ziegler, and he's talking about how King James beheaded his own mother.
Saying the man who translated the Bible beheaded his own mother?
Oh yeah. King James I, the man behind the King James Bible, had his mother Mary, Queen of Scots, locked up and then executed, allegedly. He worked with his aunt, Queen Elizabeth I, to make it happen. Why? So he could secure his place as King of England. That's not exactly the kind of story you'd expect from someone tied to the Bible, is it? But it doesn't stop there. James had a thing for demonology. He wasn't just curious about it, he wrote an entire book, Demonology, all about witches, demons, and their nasty tricks. And this is the same guy who decided, hey, I should translate the Bible for everyone. And then there's his personal life. Rumors say he had questionable relationships with men, including his cousin, and he wasn't exactly known for being morally upright. Yet this is the man people trust for one of the most influential versions of the Bible. Do you see the problem here? Yeah. Now let's talk about the translation itself. King James didn't write the Bible, but he commissioned it to solve political and religious problems in his kingdom. It wasn't just about faith, it was about control. Yep. He needed a version of the Bible that supported his rule and brought peace to a divided nation. That's the agenda nobody talks about.
That wasn't on your bingo card, now was it? Beheading your own mother just to steal the throne? Conspiring with your aunt? This is y'all king? This next clip comes from Divine Page Co. And it is speaking about the King James Bible and why and what was done to it. Just listen.
King James never met Jesus, but somehow his edited version is the one that y'all swear by you trust. A king's decree more than the oldest, most complete Bible on earth. King James stripped the Bible down to 66 books. Ethiopia never bowed. Kept all 88 plus writings at the West, was too scared to publish. The book of Enoch is still there. The book of Jubilee, still there. The life of Adam and Eve, still there. Ethiopian Bible is the receipts that they don't want in your hands. 88 books, not 66. Every time this sells, it shakes the lie. If you see the orange card, grab it now, because they rather you didn't.
Anything that was considered sorcery, magic, demonic, he took out. All while writing some of the first books on demonology. This next creator goes under Hope with Holly, and she's speaking about King James's many men.
Oh, you want me to talk about how King James was gay, right? Okay. I'll spill the tea. Now, he himself never admits publicly that he is gay, but the letters that he has written to his lovers and the rumors that were written about him at that time, oh, he was gay. Now, of course, he was married to Anne of Denmark at that time, and they did have children, and it was a political obligation, but he loved two other men, especially. First, there was Robert Carr, who was the Earl of Somerset. King James gave him so much power, showered him with titles and gifts, unnecessary stuff in a super fast way, which led to people thinking that they might have had a thing going. But his biggest lover was George Villiers. I don't know how to say his last name. He was the Duke of Buckingham. And in his letters to George, he referred to him as my sweetheart and my husband. Okay. They just didn't throw that word around back then. Some of the things that he wrote in his letters to George was, I desire only to live in this world for your sake. I shall never be satisfied without your company, and I must and need to be possessed with your love. I mean, do you talk to your buddies that way? No. Some of the Spanish and French ambassadors at that time wrote reports describing King James' excessive affection for these men, for his male favorites. And then there was a 17th century historian, and his name was Anthony Weldon, and he claimed that James was inclined to sodomy. I don't even know if I can say that word on here. Sir Walter Raleigh once remarked that King James had his male lovers. And then one time, King James openly kissed and embraced his favorites in public, which is an unusual practice for a king at that time. And the rumors were big enough that his opponents used them as political weapons against him to get power. Now, it's important to note that the word homosexual was never in the Bible until 1946 with the Revised Standard Version. Now, he did commission this Bible to be translated in order to support his Protestant views. He didn't want a Bible that was Catholic or Puritan. 47 men were picked to be in this committee to decide what they wanted the Bible to look like and how they wanted it to read. And they were commissioned by a gay man. And I love that for them.
You know, it just tickles my little black heart to think that in churches you guys condemn homosexuality while reading a Bible that was rewritten by a literal homosexual. I mean, this shit just cannot be real. This is not real life. It can't be. This next creator goes underneath Anunnaki, Christina Bruno, and she is also breaking down the legacy that is King James's legacy. I mean, it kind of repeats some of the information, but like I said, every video you learn a little bit something different.
So King James is the one that translated the Bible from Latin to English so that everybody could know it. But did he have a secret agenda by doing so? Can you trust this guy? This is King James VI, son of Mary, Queen of Scots. And he was kind of a crappy son. Let me explain. James achieved his lifetime ambition when Queen Elizabeth I died and he inherited the throne of England. He was only allowed to do this by granting permission to his aunt to keep his mother incarcerated and ultimately beheaded. If you haven't watched the TV series Reign, that gives you more or less an idea what happened, you should. This, King James, is Mary, Queen of Scots' son. He plots with his aunt, Queen Elizabeth I, and says, you know what, keep my mom incarcerated, behead her, and then I will come in and be your heir. And so they did. He was also an expert in demonology and the occult. Keep this in mind. The whispered consensus is that King James wrote Demonology in response to skeptical publications such as Reginald Scott's The Discovery of Witchcraft. Demonology included a study of demonology and the methods demons use to bother or troubled men. Here comes the good part. It was known or rumored that he was very promiscuous with men. First Duke of Buckingham was said to be his boyfriend. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this is the guy that translated the Bible from Latin and English for everyone. He wasn't very Catholic. Don't forget the demonology books. So, you got one sin over another. In 1604, England's King James I authorized a new translation of the Bible aimed at settling some thorny religious differences in his kingdom. While demonology was intended to convince skeptics of the reality of witchcraft, which the Bible tells you not to, so you see where I'm going with this? So the guy that created the book on demons, the guy that translated the Bible for you, the guy that was promiscuous with men. The guy that had his mom beheaded to take her throne. These are the rumored affairs he had. George, the Duke of Buckingham, Robert Carr, the Earl of Somerset, May Stuart, his own cousin, with his aunt did a coup against his mom and they both stole her inheritance. She was the legitimate heir, technically. Elizabeth I was the daughter of Anne Boleyn, and technically she wasn't supposed to even, she was illegitimate. She wasn't even supposed to be the queen. So this great guy is the one that translated the Bible for you. You don't think he did it intentionally to twist things around, seeing his passion for the occult and demonology? I mean, food for thought. It is a huge possibility. It could be. This is why I look back in ancient scriptures that go way before the Bible to figure out what happened. So much trust in him, I don't understand why. He wasn't a good guy. Just look at what he did to his mom.
This next creator goes by Earesi101, and he is stitching a video that looks like, again, made in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, and is of a woman who is telling about the history of King James and how it ties into slavery in the Americas.
This is a picture of the man who wrote the King James Version of the Bible, or at least he's given the credit for writing it. He was a supreme slave master, King James. In fact, it was King James who threw slavery into high gear. In fact, it was the slaves were brought to Jamestown. They named, in 1619, they named the place where they brought the first slaves after King James, the Bible man. Okay, so we have to start really looking at these things. Of course, King James dealt very, very highly in witchcraft. Most of us are familiar with his book, the Bible, but how many are you familiar with his other book? Is there anybody in here familiar with his other book? He also wrote a book on witchcraft. And this is a library book, so I didn't write it or anything, but you can send the pictures back up here, because I need to keep them together. Thank you. Oh, okay, send them around this way. This is a picture, this is a copy of King James's book on witchcraft. Particular book on witchcraft, he deals with the art of imitation. See, the media is all about imitation. Children were often the victims of witches. So we have here, now these are not black people on this picture. These are Europeans. And they are doing their sacrificing children. You will see a nun kneeling, and you will see, but they're kneeling at the behind of a goat.
So now it all makes sense. Are we getting there, students? He rewrote the Bible for political play so that slavery could be a thing. And we ate it up. This religion, I'm sorry, I'm being as respectful as I can, but my spirit is calling me to tell y'all this religion does not belong to us. It doesn't belong to us black people, indigenous people. It's not ours. This was forced upon us, and we were played. We were pawns. So I need y'all to really recognize where this comes from. I'm not saying Christianity is not real. Jesus is not real. But I'm saying that we need to be gentler in correcting other people's spiritual practices, because this don't look good at all. All in all, this does not surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. It's very much so what I would have expected researching this, because the United States, religion, all of it is just a big money scheme, power scheme, control. They want that. That's why they made us strip our own practices and handed us a Bible. Come on, a slave port named Jamestown, 1619, when the first slaves came here. That's where they took them. They idolized this man. He rewrote it for his own gain. We are reading Black as Fuck in my book club. And if you're interested in joining, you can go ahead and click the link that says Discord. It's over on Discord. And it outlines all of this. This is the reason why I decided to look up King James. Because he was not a good man. And I'm not saying he wasn't a good man because he was homosexual. I'm not saying that. That part is the least. That part gives like a grain of salt, a little bit of sympathy, because he couldn't even be who he wanted to be. Okay? But at the same time, he beheaded his mother just to steal her throne. He talked about demonology, witches, warlocks, years and years, about 14, 15 years before he actually rewrote the Bible. The only reason why they put this in syndication is for power and control and for him to have the upper hand. He was the master slave master, y'all. Wake up. Read original versions of Bibles. Read the missing books. I personally like the Sefer because I feel like it is written down in layman's terms, but the Ethiopian Bible is good. Any of the ones that were listed in here are good. Read it because it's a reason why they took those books out. Because those are the books that talk about mermaids, magic, herb mixing, beauty magic, giants, fallen angels. You know, the shit that we talk about on this channel. Read it because you would be pleasantly surprised, and it all makes sense. They don't want us to know how powerful we really are, that there are people who are bloodline mermaids, that there are people that are bloodline spiritualists, witches, that really don't have to do anything. They don't want you to know how powerful you are. That is all for today, YouTube. And if you are interested in getting a reading from Psychic Source, click the link down below. Y'all better go get y'all a little reading for that $19.95. And if you want me to cover a person, place, thing, or topic, let me know down in the comments, or you can email me or even DM me on Instagram. But until next time, y'all do good, be good, stay safe. Love y'all down.